92.7. We're coming to you live from our studios here on the John Hammond Street, streaming live on 3news.com and our numerous affiliates across the country, around the world. Also live on Facebook, our handles 3FM927. That's where we're live, and that's where you can send us a message on all of the stories we're bringing to you this evening. Fresh on our bill tonight, the Ghana Journalists Association gives General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association 5 days to retract alleged threatening comments that journalists will be dealt with when they visit hospitals. We have exclusive details plus a response from the RNMA for you if you stay with us. Also, for a bit more on this, the GJ has been strongly admonishing journalists to report ethically and responsibly during the Akwatia by-election. We'll give you details of that. Plus, we're at Akwatia because it's become the hotbed of political activity as the two leadership of the major political parties pitch camp there days to that by-election to replace the deceased Member of Parliament, Ernest Yaw Kumi. Meanwhile, the latest Global Info Analytics poll projects the NDC's candidates favored by voters in the crucial elections. We'll give you the exclusive details if you stay with us here on Hot Edition. And you're welcome to the bulletin. I am Mawuena Egbeta. We're getting straight into our very first story for you this evening, starting in Akwatia, because it's become a hotbed of all of Ghana's politics this evening as leadership of the two major political parties pitch camp there 4 days to that by-election to replace deceased MP Ernest Yaw Kumi. Former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is expected to join the national leadership of the opposition NPP in holding a 1-week commemoration for the late MP, a move described by political watchers as a master stroke. The NDC, on the other hand, has been crisscrossing the township, with Chief of Staff Julius Deborah already having visited, and now National Chairman Johnson Esiedun Ketia leading the campaign to snatch the seat. The Police Management Board, POMAP, led by the Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohunu, meanwhile has arrived in the township assessing the security situation ahead of Tuesday's by-election in what could be, or would be rather, a heated contest. The visit follows heightened tension between supporters of the two major political parties. Let's take you there right now. Yvonne Nikwe is joining us on the telephone lines. Yvonne, you've been stationed in the township all throughout the day. Talk to us about the political activism which has engulfed the Akwatia constituency.
Well, Mawuena, each day, I must say each hour, the political activism gets heated, I should say gets better for all of those who are in the stakeholders group of the political parties, NPP, NDC, because they have earmarked activities they are engaging. On one side, as the NPP is preparing by engaging in the final funeral rites of the deceased MP, amidst that doing its own lobbying of electorate as well. The opposition, the NDC, on the other hand, led by the national chairman, Esiedun Ketia, is also in the hinterlands as well, ensuring that they're lobbying the electorate as well across the area from Wentin, Takra, Apinaman. We're seeing all of the vehicles move in and out. Just a while ago, the police briefed the media on its preparation. It was led by COP Vance Baba Gariba, the Director General of Operations. Essentially, he says that, and as much as it's received concerns about the numbers have been strategically being placed in the Akwatia constituency, because if you look at the 119 electoral areas that we're dealing with, MP, their envisage of issues that might happen, they would have to ensure that the numbers are huge and then resort to CCTVs and drones as well to ensure that as incidents happen, per the second, they are monitoring and reacting as quickly and effectively as possible.
And for all of this that we've been seeing play out, how are the residents taking it all in?
It's a mixed feeling for the residents in this constituency. For many of them, well, they know that, yes, they must be part and parcel of the processes for the by-election. The others do look a bit worried about the presence of the police, but that's the assurance of the police that as much as their numbers are huge, yes, their defense is that they do not want to be surprised at as well. And so for the residents, they are well prepared to cast their votes. Like we said, in as much as I'm seeing lots of researchers, the DJ will tell us exactly where the vote is likely to be. This is a swing constituency, as I've been saying early on, back-to-back 2012, we're seeing each of the opposing sides pick their seats. This is a decider because all of the parties are fresh candidates on both sides who are going to contest. And so it would take a lot from the people of this constituency to make that choice. If the choice is going to be on development or even on the persona of the candidates who are standing up to be elected for the constituency. All of these are part of the issues the people of this constituency will be looking at beyond the external politics that, of course, they are also looking at because they are part of the country as well. They do have their internal politics as well that they are also observing to make those choices.
But you've been interacting with them. We've seen the latest poll as well come from Musa Dankwa. What is top on the agenda for the residents who you've been speaking to that will push them in a particular direction when they decide to cast their ballots come Tuesday?
Well, this community is a mix-up of a lot of things. The constituency itself, you could call it cosmopolitan. You don't have simply solely people of assets were one-sided because of the mining that has been happening here for a long time. So you cannot say traditionally it would be a certain side if you want to go through the ethnic lens. And so that is a no-go area. When it comes to development, back-to-back, all of the regimes have not been able to put up well policy for the GCD in this community. And so none of the political parties can make claim to that for them to vote for them. All the conversation has been on what they intend to do or what they are likely to do. The NPP candidate is a miner. The NDC candidate is a lawyer. As to which of them are likely to put forward their issues when it comes to development as one of the things they'll be looking out for. We do know that when it comes to which of the electoral areas who are the deciders, we can talk of the AKWATIA committee itself or talk about Boidia, Wenchi, Takrati. Those four communities are communities who will be watching us because those polls from those areas could be the decider for whoever wins. The NDC candidate is coming from Wenchi, where the MPP candidate passed out. I'm talking of Eric Yaw Kumi. So that's one of the things. The new MPP candidate is coming from the Boidia constituency. So it may be a tie or something when it comes to those constituencies. But really, beyond developmental issues of roads, of schools, of GCD not being effective to ensure that the resources in this community, which is the natural resources of diamond and gold, are properly mined and people in this area do benefit, really, those issues having slid down because they have not benefited for whoever has been in power over the several years that diamond has been in this community.
And Yvonne, most certainly we will be getting a bit more from you on this. But just finally on that police address from earlier, you mentioned who addressed it. What is the police's own version of their preparedness for the election and as well the Electoral Commission? Because we know the Electoral Commission yesterday met the political party leadership as well.
Well, from the police side, COP Dr. Vance Baba Gariba, the Director General of the Ghana Police Service, did a briefing today. From his own words, he says that they are assuring the electorate and whoever is participating in this particular election of their safety. Reasons why they have played their numbers to their chest, that beyond the 5,000, there are several state-of-the-art technology they are adding up to ensure that the peace of this constituency is kept even after whoever is declared the winner is. We do know that some residents have had mixed feelings of the numbers of the vehicles and then the personnel in. But today we have to ask questions, and responding to that, COP Gariba said, well, they understand, but per their own calculation, when you look at the numbers they are dealing with, and then the electoral area, 62,000 over all polling stations, any of them could be a potential flag point. And so they do not want to be, as it were, overwhelmed. And so their men will have to be there. But they are assuring the people of Akwatia that everybody should just come out to go to the polls, vote, and peacefully return until the coalition begins. And so that has been the words of the COP Gariba. He also made mention that those who have not been accredited will not be allowed to polling station or coalition center. So if you are not an accredited party agent, media, or a stakeholder in the election, you should not be at the polling station or coalition center. Otherwise, you would have to deal with the police.
Right then, thank you very much, Yvonne. I appreciate the report and its detailed nature that you've been providing to us. And I'm sure we'll meet at Akwatia soon enough so that I'll get a debrief as well of what to look out for ahead of that by-election.
Very well, Eric.
That's Yvonne Ikwe, my colleague in the Akwatia Township for us right now. But we know as well that that seat has become vacant. There's a latest poll which is putting the NDC's Bernard Bediako in that hotly contested Akwatia by-election as a potential winner. The survey conducted between the 27th and then the 28th with over 2,000 sampled voters puts Bediako ahead of his closest challenger, Solomon K.S. of the ruling NPP by 43 to 47, and we know that that seat has become vacant. Let's hear from Musa Dankwa, who's the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, as he spoke to my colleague Beatrice Edru earlier on the Midday News.
I think MPP is in disarray in Akwatia. They're divided, and the messaging is not penetrating through what people want to hear. As you mentioned rightly, about 67% of the respondents economy and developmental projects. That's a huge number that would sway them based on who they think can provide that solution. But more importantly, 24% of people who voted for Ernest Kumi in 2024 have switched their vote to NDC candidates. 24%.
Why?
We don't know why. It's a poll. We must go and find out why. But the evidence is there. Again, if you look at the first poll we did, Esmedu was 77% support in Wenchi, and NDC was 23%. Today, MPP has fallen from 77% in Wenchi, where the Puna will be held, to 49%. That is where the problem.
So
what's going on in MPP in Wenchi, I can't tell.
You can't tell.
The data tells a story.
But I'm glad you talk about the phenol bit. Do you think that it would have a way of influencing vote? Although your survey, which ended on 28th, suggested that sympathy vote represent just about 4%. Do you think the phenol would have a way of increasing that?
It will not.
It will not.
People have moved away from emotional politics to real politics. Development and economic issues.
And I just wanted to get more, before you go, more in terms of what you got from your interaction with constituents beyond what you've just told us now, what they say would influence their vote moving forward.
Look, what we've heard in the field suggests that they don't believe the MPP candidate can bring the development that they need. Akwatia has very bad roads, and the people need the roads to be fixed. Voting for opposition candidates will not help do that.
That's Musa Dankwa, is Executive Director of Global Info Analytics. Let's bring in Professor Smart Sapon. He's a political analyst and get a bit more from him on what he as well, looking into the glass, he's seeing in terms of how things are expected to play out in the AKWATIA by-election. Prof, I appreciate you speaking to us as always. Good evening. Trust that you're well.
All is well, Eric.
Fantastic. And we've pretty much got just the only poll ahead of this by-election. From where you sit and the analysis and the heat of the campaign happening, could this be a reflection of what plays out on Tuesday when citizens or residents of AKWATIA go out in their numbers to vote?
Well, a very good evening to your good self and to our cherished listeners. I think it's a tight race, as we all know, and AKWATIA in history has been tight. In fact, the highest the NDC has done was 57% somewhere in 2008, and the highest the MPP has done is 60.6 in 2016 by the famous Monsieur Dijemfi, aka I must say. And when you take these two outliers away, the rest has hovered around 52, 50, then the 1 trillion will do 49, 47, thereabout. So it's actually a tight constituency on a normal day. When it gets to the special case of by-elections, usually the dynamics are not the same as on the general elections where we do not know who is going to be the president. When there is a president in place, usually the dynamics do change, and it will take a very good campaign by the NPP to make sure that their dominance or their recent win will be sustained. Again, I don't want to underestimate the effect of the candidates. The Solomon Asumedu representing NPP, we are told, is a core, die-hard, core constituency citizen who has influenced a lot of the youth by way of employing some and engaging in various activities with many of them. And so he is quite popular on the ground, and we wait to see his popularity translating into a win. But then talk about the B3 guy, who is also a true citizen and a candidate for the NDC, who is also on the ground, supported heavily by the big ways of the NDC party. So I see it still as a very close to call, a race so close to call, and that each day will count. You asked my brother Musa Dankwa whether the funeral may whip up some sympathies. If they do it well, it has the
you think it has a tendency of getting some sentiments sway in the favor of the NPP?
No, in fact, every vote counts, even if it's able to sway at least one or two and not to the magnitude they are expecting, it would still make some difference. So we wait to see how the days unfold, but every day counts, every minute counts. Maximize your campaign, engage the people, make sure all your base come out to vote. It's one important aspect of the work they have done. If at the end of the day the people you spoke to did not come out to vote, it would nullify all the efforts you have done. So all these activities should be done more as the day approaches.
We've seen in terms of what we have done by ourselves in the reportage and all of that, matters of development dominating the conversation because AKWATIA is a mining township. We've seen diamonds in billions of folds extracted and gold as well, but the people feel they haven't received their fair share of development in terms of roads and infrastructure, and that looks like it will be a dominant subject, a theme that could play out in this conversation. Where do you think the pendulum swings to if citizens are voting by just development alone on Tuesday?
Oh, by development, then obviously it will swing towards the NDC because, the executive power is in the NDC's hands, and they can cause the happenings or the expectations to become reality. But I think we have observed many of such instances where the people were promised a lot of things, but when the elections were over, they saw nothing. In fact, the people of Akwatia, like you rightly said, have been disappointed, left behind the developmental agenda or distribution of the national cake for quite a long time. And I mean, if these promises being given to them will materialize, it will be good news for the people. But it will not be the first time we see politicians promising us and not fulfilling. That is not to say they will not do it. But I mean,
but do you see
do
you see the subject of development dominating this election?
In fact, Eric, it is the most winnable campaign message in a by-election, because that one, your president is on the seat. So I would have been surprised if there was any other campaign message other than development. In by-elections, if you have observed, the most winnable campaign message is development. And in some instances, we are here in this country, we've seen overnight development activities going on in constituencies just to demonstrate that we have the energy and the power to develop your place for you. We have seen some overnight, you sleep and you wake up. My place in Amenfi West, I think, when Honorable Jetia was the president, about the MP, about some 18, 20 years ago. We slept at night and we woke up to see roads, President Kufuor's time, roads having been constructed, just to prove to the people that, development comes from us, and that if you vote for us, we are the ones able to champion. So development, there, I can assure you, it will be the central of all the campaigns, and by far the winnable campaign message that any of the two parties can use. And it favors the NDC, frankly.
Right. We still have a long way to go. And on the midday news, when I was having a conversation with Mr. Dankwa by myself, I asked that question that 4 more days to go, a day to an election is a good enough time to convince somebody to vote for you.
Right.
What should the two parties be doing in this home run stretch to ensure that they get over the line? Because this is a close contest.
Yeah, there is a campaign chart that starts from a year to election day, a month to election day, a week to election day, a day to election day. I'm sure the politicians should have the chart. If not, we will share with you so that you can display, so that politicians will go by some of these things.
Prof, I'll be looking forward to the chat personally. I'm sending you the reminder right now.
Say it again.
I'm sending the reminder via WhatsApp right now.
So thank you. I'll do that for you, Eric. So what should be done 4 days to election is that now you are closing in on all your ranks. So you go to a community, you identify it's categorized into 3. Those that are your core count on, people who are going to vote for you, sure ones. Then we have those that you are sure won't vote for you. Then you have those in the middle that you still think that some work needs to be worked on them. Close in on your potential voters, those that you are very sure are going to vote for you. In fact, before you go in for a cut, try to go and convince somebody who you know won't vote for you. Make sure you have safeguarded and protected the people who you know are going to vote for you, and ensure that they go out to vote. 3 days to election, 4 days to election. The work politicians must do is to secure the sure voters and then do some trial or engagement with the 50-50 floating people, those who you are not certain of. It's a bad time to try to go into the enemy's camp, the opponent's camp, to go for a catch. It's the wrong time. In fact, by the time you come back from the opponent's camp with one soul, the secured ones would have been angry that we have been with you, we have assured you, and now you are chasing this person. So you will win 1 and you will lose 4. All these things are scientific, and around this time, I'm sure they are doing their best, closing in, so they can secure at least the votes that they are sure of, and then try to win from the middle. As for the other no-go areas, anybody wasting his efforts at people you know won't vote for you, NDC strongholds, MPP strong, by this time, you are not politically strategic.
Prof, I've sent that message, but we'll leave the conversation here. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more in the lead up to the voting day, and then we'll bring the best perspective to listeners.
Yeah, Yes, my brother. Thank you so much.
That's Professor Smart Sapon speaking to us this evening here on Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. And like I mentioned, a bit more on this for you because like I mentioned, the political parties are red hot in the Akwatia constituency. They've been interacting heavily with constituents and they've been speaking as well. Let's hear from Justin Frimpong Kuria, who's the General Secretary of the NPP, speak at that vigil held yesterday.
Solomon, no share mine in Swa. And that Sago board on Yaba. Mine is Moya Juma, who knows the Copa. Now, Bino, I did I'm 13,000. What to swap up for me? Young Buana Solomon, and the Copias of Pumbia, 7 minus Momaton, or for
Thank you.
I buy any gold woman, that gold board name. Openia, lawyer near or truck cat, one mass, our gold board name, Savoyan or Kaudi. And then the man is more black. Savoyan or Besobe or Kaudi, and I say gold board, no, I buy it. Sandy Power, yes, my dear. Sandy Power, yes, my dear.
That's Justin Frimpong Kuria as the General Secretary of the NPP speaking there. Let's hear as well from the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asidun Kitia, who has been speaking as well in the Akwatia constituency.
It is so simple so now or tongue, Simon Baton. One try or very idea. Since you have better got the money, Mahama, any NDC, any attack could be other song. Say put you back also. As it's a Papa Biama Koswa. Every president got the money, Mahama. And that's happening. Yakase, Pompe, Madame Musini, na Ombakanemo, Rofa Kuntumra. Obia, Watra, Akwatia, Tebia, Nuse. Saputu Baba Akwatia. I just NDC. Ayabra, NDC, Atiako Yosu. Aya MP, Aya NDC.
That's Johnson Asidun Kitia, as the General Secretary of the governing. He's the chairman, national chairman, I beg your pardon. He's been the General Secretary for quite a while, and that's why we call him Chairman General. If you're around the NDC, they call him Chairman General anytime. But you're live here on Hot Edition, and we're going for a very short break. When we return, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go straight into our stories for you this evening here on Hot Edition, and onto our top story having to do with, amongst many other things, the